Hi guys, welcome back. Today is going to be about eyebrows. So the tutorial I'm going to do is to show you how to measure them out and set them up ready to fill them in. Even if you don't want to fill your eyebrows, it's something that you can use to pluck your own eyebrows or to get them waxed, anything like that, just to help you have the best shape to frame your eyes. Without good eyebrows, your nose can look bigger, your eyes don't look as open, and your face doesn't look as in proportion as it should. So it's something tiny that you can learn that will help you look a zillion times better, I promise, especially if it's done right. Now obviously you can tweak the way it's done, and that's why I'm going to do eyebrows in 3 different ways. So we're going to do it with some powder for a softer look. Then I'll go in with pencil. It's pretty much what I'll use daily if I'm just rushing out the door, because it's what I find works. And then like a pomade, sort of more of a cream, a darker, crisper eyebrow if you're wanting to look more made up, if you like a stronger brow, just so you can see the difference of the mediums, see how they're done, and then you get to play. Some people find shadow and a brush a lot easier, others find pencil, and it's up to you. So we'll get started. You'll see what I mean. If you have any more questions, leave them below, but I do love doing eyebrows. I do a lot of eyebrow waxes, and this is something that I get requested to help them with when I'm finished, and then, well, they can't go without filling them in. So let's go. So I'm going to go in first with Anastasia Beverly Hills Ash Blonde Taupe Duo palette. This palette is a little bit light for what I like personally, but I just want to show you how you can fill in a brow that has a reasonable amount of hair with a lighter colour, just to give it a fuller look. If you don't have a lot of hair, I recommend going slightly darker and just putting it on softly. You'll get less of a washed out kind of blurry look. Sometimes with a lighter powder it can look a little bit blurry if you're not super confident in what you're doing, and I'll try and show you what I mean. What we want to do, ultimately coming from this little indent in your nose, sort of where you would have a nose piercing, if I flare my nose, just that little point there, and if you run 2 straight lines up, that's where you want your eyebrows to start. Unless you have a super narrow nose, then you can start it from the outside of your nose. So if we just run up that line, and I find using your angled eyeliner brush works quite well. It's obviously stiff, and then what you can do is have a bit of powder on the end of it, run it up, and just press it there. And you can see the little dot, and that way you know where you're starting from. And we'll just do the same on the other side. As you can see, one of my eyebrows needs to come in a little bit further than the other. It won't grow there. I've been trying, don't worry. Then we want to go from the outside of our nose, angled up to the outside of our pupil. So if you just run like that, and that's where you want the highest point of your brow to go. Again, you can see on me naturally, it's about 5 mil too short, so I extend that out. And then we're going from the outside of the nose to the outside of the eye, and that's where it should end, and mine finishes exactly where it needs to. This is a bit of a personal preference. Some people do like them a little bit longer. Just be careful if you're going to extend it longer, you're not extending it down. Otherwise you're going to have sort of that, I don't know if I can do it, kind of a clowny look, which makes you look a little sadder. So try and keep it a little bit more straight. So we'll go in and we'll pencil this eyebrow and show you how it looks. So going in and brushing them up. Going into the darkest shade of the Anastasia palette, and I like to start by putting the colour about here, which is where your brow's heaviest, and working it back into the tail first. What you want is this portion of your eyebrow to be slightly darker than the front to have a more natural look. Try holding your brush on this kind of angle instead of straight in. You're going to be able to just shade it better. So think about colouring. If you're ever an art student or like doing art, when you shade it in and you colour it, I think I've said it on a previous tutorial, when you're doing eyeliner, it's the same thing. Hold it on more of this type of angle, than this, you're going to get a softer colour. What we're aiming for is sort of 2 parallel lines to that high point, and then a triangle at the end is the simplest way I can describe it to you. And then as I've got less on my brush, I start to work it towards the front of my eyebrow to fill it in. And yay, I have a lovely pimple at the start of my eyebrow, which is excellent. Come back in, back to the end, because I've loaded up my brush again. And now I've got to extend this to that little dot there. So we just flick it around there. You can see this isn't super defined, and I don't have a very strong tail, so I don't have a lot of hair in there. So this is why I like a darker colour. But this is to show you all the different ways, obviously. Alright, then when I'm at the front, I tend to flick up so it fills in without looking too heavy. And if you're thin across the top or you don't have a lot of hair, obviously you can go in and fill this portion. I'll do it just to show you. This is where you need to be careful with the softer colour. You can start looking just fluffy and blurred, and it looks like you haven't had an eyebrow wax, which is not what you want. So just give it a brush again. So that's my eyebrow. Obviously I've got a decent amount of hair, if you have a look at the other eyebrow, but it needs to be filled in. Now there's nothing wrong with this eyebrow look, I just prefer it a little bit darker. So if you like this colour, fine, go with that. Obviously if you're lighter, if your eyebrows are lighter, it's going to work perfectly. Stop here and you can go in and conceal and tidy up if you need to. But I'm just going to go in and show you how I do it with a darker colour. And this is just from my Emily Wilson Cosmetics. It's all broken because I love it. In black brown. Now yes, it looks really dark, but it's also on the ashy tones, which is what you want your eyebrows to be, to look a lot more natural as opposed to a golden brown tone. So it's a bit darker. Show you how you can get a crisper line with the darker colour. And I'm flicking up on the diagonal, kind of to create little strokes in there. They're really soft, but to make it look, again, a little bit more natural. And as you can see, it's slightly lighter at the start than at the end, where it's a bit fuller. Then to tidy them up, to complete this look, you can go in with just a bit of concealer. I like to do it about the tone of my skin or one shade lighter, and nothing too dramatic, or I think it looks a little bit harsh. Again, this is just my personal preference. Today, to make it easy, I'm going in with Anastasia's Brow Pencil, Pro Pencil Primer and Colour Corrector Base 1. And all I do is just line where I want it to fix those bits that I might have blurred out. And also if you've got a few stray hairs that needed to be plucked, it helps to conceal them a little bit. And I do bring it down the top of my tail a bit to highlight that. Then just take a concealer brush and just work it and kind of pull it away. Especially if you're using actual concealer, it's a lot more runny in consistency. You don't want to blend it back up into that shadow, you want to be pulling it away. And so then you start to tidy up under the brow. Alright, brush it out. And that is one brow completed with brow powder. So you can see now, if you want to take off the powdery look, Go in with the clear brow gel and just brush it in there. It's going to help take off that powdered look and bring them back to looking natural. It also helps hold your brows in place. So if they're a bit longer, they're not going to go and fall outside of that line that you've just created. Alright, so that's the difference in the brows. And now we'll go in and do the other eyebrow with pencil. And I love matte, kind of like wind up crayon pencils. I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but this one is in Strut. And again, it's a nice shade of brown, more on the ashy side, and it works well with my brows. And I find this lovely and quick and easy. Like I said with the brush, hold your pencil down like this and shade your eyebrows. Don't just stick it in and push it. If you put your pencil straight and you push, that's the depth you get. Put it on its side and use the same pressure. This is what you're getting. A lot easier to build up and a lot less to take off and a lot better looking. So, same rule, we've got our little start line. Outside the nose, outside the pupil. That's where I want my high point. And almost in the right spot this time. Outside of my nose, outside of my eye. And this one falls just slightly short. And that's where we want the tail. You do exactly the same thing, so I will do it just a little bit quicker. But you're following the exact same line we've done and we're just brushing it on. And filling in any holes along the way. So obviously as you're doing the second side, you need to make sure it's going to match the first side. We're all going to have one eyebrow that's slightly easier to do. And now I need to extend the front of this one. So I start to stroke that upwards. That's brow 2, so we can go in and clean it up the same as we did the first eyebrow. One with the powder, one with the pencil. I will not fix that one with the brow fix this time, but obviously you can do that. But what I'm going to do is go in now and take that eyebrow off and refill it with a pomade or more of a creamy colour, just to show you how to use it and what it looks like, and then you get a good comparison between sort of your strongest version of a brow and your softest version of a brow. I'm going in with Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade. Now I have taupe and medium brown. I sometimes use both, and the reason is to create a gradient. If I'm wanting a really strong brow, I'll put the taupe at the front of the brow to keep it a softer, lighter colour if it's still full, and then put the dip brow in, what did I say it was? Sorry. Medium brown at the end on the tail to fill it in. Today I'm just going all in with the medium brown, just to show you the more extreme of a natural brow, and just show you how you can still use it lightly and create not a box on your face, basically. Take it on the back of your hand. You do not need as much as what I've put on there. Get your flat brush and just work it back and forth so your brush is into a nice point. And we're doing it exactly the same as we did with powder. So we're going to start here, fill in this part of the brow. Well, we've got a lot on there. And again, just light strokes, hardly touching. and you can make that as thick or thin as you want, or as thick or as thin as your eyebrow is. Now stroking it up into those baldy patches. And this is great to create hair strokes in your eyebrow as well when you're really lacking in hair. Now I've got next to nothing on my brush, I'm coming into the front portion of the brow. Alright, looks pretty close to the other eyebrow, but obviously we're stronger in the tail, so I'm going to look a little wonky. So going in with the Pro Pencil Base one again to clean up. And don't forget what I said about sort of pulling it more away from the brow. Okay, so we have our eyebrows 3 ways. That's with your pomade. That's a bit. You got a bit of a stronger tail. I've still left it as a bit of a gradient at the front. You can make that a little bit fuller, but again, this keeps it looking natural. I could easily go out with the pomade in this eyebrow really dark with next to no makeup, but because the front's softer, it doesn't just look like a brick. Otherwise, you've got your soft powdered side in more of your taupey colour. Even though I went back in with the black and brown, it's still a softer version. And hopefully you can see the difference from what they were before we started as well. And I hope it made sense to you, but it really, really makes a big difference to how it shapes your face and lifts your eye. So what I would suggest to do is do one of your eyebrows when you've got the confidence, and then take a photo. You will see how much more open your eye looks with your eyebrows done properly, and that will help keep you motivated to keep practicing. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye!